When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the vehicle owner's manual for important feature limitations and information.
This episode is brought to you by Microsoft Azure. Turn your ideas into reality with an Azure free account. Get everything you need to develop apps across cloud and hybrid environments, scale workloads, create cloud-connected mobile experiences, and so much more. Discover what you can create with popular services free for 12 months. Learn more at azure.com. That's AZURE.com. And sign up for a free account to start building in the cloud today.
O'Reilly! You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hattrick Haaland strikes again. Things go back to west for Everton. Right sees red as Arsenal drop some crucial points against Brighton, and Slot and the Reds conquer Old Trafford. Welcome to this Game Week 3 of the Final Whistle podcast. And the transfer window's closed, and I'm somewhat thrilled about that, being linked to every single player and whatnot. And there's been a lot of chopping and changing on this podcast as well. I am delighted to announce my guest, hopefully my marquee signing for this podcast. It's Ben. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm buzzing to be doing it. Obviously missed the first 2 weeks, so it's good to finally go on and talk about some football. Get a bit bored of transfers in the end, so it's good to finally talk about the real stuff. Yeah.
It is, yeah. There's a lot of, changing of formation and tactics, and hopefully I've landed on gold now. So, Ben, let's get straight into this. The first game that we're going to cover is the one that we just watched, the evening kickoff, the Sunday night kickoff, shall we say, the 4:30. Manchester United 0, Liverpool 3, 2 by Diaz, a goal and 2 assists by Mo Salah. Casemiro proving pivotal. I mean, talk to me about this one, because I thought it'd be a lot more difficult than that. And, Gravenberch having a game. This was his big test, and I thought he did really well. So, I mean, just your overall thoughts and feelings about that one.
Yeah, just like you said, I went in with thinking maybe a draw. With Old Trafford, you don't know what Man United you're going to get, but it seemed no problem at all for Liverpool. Like you said, Gravenberch stole the show. Diaz and Salah as good as they always are. But Man United, I mean, it's not often you hear Old Trafford booing like that, and it was really, really bad from them. It's hard to kind of work out whether, yes, Liverpool were brilliant, but Man United were also dreadful. So it's really, really hard to take the real meaning of that result. But Liverpool be no doubt over the moon with that one and on to the next one. One of the hardest games of the season out of the way already, so really positive for them.
And if I'm correct in this, Liverpool are the only team to concede a goal, right?
Yeah, not to concede a goal, yeah.
That's pretty incredible. I mean, the thing that kind of struck me about this one as well, I mean, you spoke about Gravenberch there, but I thought overall as a team, I thought defensively there was a good shift. I mean, Liverpool were 2-0 up. I keep saying I'm trying to be neutral. I'm trying to not give it away who I support. But, 2 goals up. And I felt like, the attack wasn't quite clicking. There were just like moments of brilliance in those goals in the first half. And I think that's what I found really pleasantly surprising. And Liverpool played through the middle. There was just so much space in that midfield. I was shocked.
Yeah, it was crazy. The amount of times Gravenberch picked up the ball. And, I mean, we're saying Gravenberch is unbelievable. He also messed up a lot of times, but he was given the ball that many times that it eventually came good. The amount of times he dispossessed the Man United midfielders of the ball and drove forward, and maybe the pass didn't quite work, but in the end, he was absolutely dominating. I mean, Casemiro, I know we'll probably go on to that a bit more depth later, but I felt so bad for Mainu, to be honest. I think Mainu is brilliant, but playing alongside him, there's only so much he can do, because Casemiro was dreadful.
He really was, and and there's a lot of tweets and social media chit chat that maybe that was the central midfielder that Liverpool signed, Casemiro, because he was quite important for both of those goals.
Probably our best player in the first half, to be honest. But them are the kind of things that you force upon them. As long as if Casemiro made their mistakes, he did pass the ball directly to Jota, but the one where he gets dispossessed by Diaz, that's what you've got to do. You've got to force the mistake in the first place. So as much as Casemiro was bad, there is also credit to be given for the Liverpool forwards, and the likes of Szoboszlai joining in that press as well. It was really, really impressive.
I could not agree more. And I just also discovered as well, like the way he plays as well, Casemiro, you'd kind of think that he was a lot older than 32. I'm quite shocked that he is Mo Salah's age. I mean, let's just talk about Mo Salah there. I mean, I believe the Sky was saying it, he was involved in every single Liverpool goal. It just goes to show that this guy goes up, works really hard, comes back as an unstoppable beast. I think Old Trafford and Manchester United hate playing against him. He was having so much joy in the second half when he scored that goal, and he had a few more chances after that. And I was just watching him, and I was like, it's just like he's playing with his dinner at the moment.
I don't know when people will learn to stop writing Mo Salah off. They do it every single season. I know at the end of last season he wasn't great, he wasn't brilliant, but I couldn't believe that people are actually suggesting that he was finished, as they were saying, stuff like that. It's absolutely bizarre. He's one of those talents that 5 years' time he could still be doing what he's doing now. I have no doubts about that at all. He's simply, everything he does is gold. He's literally one of those players. We won't see another player like him, especially not in Liverpool, for a long, long time.
No, we won't. And, whilst we're speaking of Mo Salah, he spoke to Sky Sports, and the quotes have come out, and a few Liverpool fans will be suffering from a little bit of unrest. Contract. Nobody's contacted him apparently about his new contract, and he's in his final year. Liverpool need to tie that guy down. Yeah, they have to. They have to move really quickly on this one. It's been a storm that's kind of been brewing over the transfer window. The live signings was kind of carried off by the fact that they're working on these new contracts for Salah, Van Dijk and Trent. But obviously, that isn't the case. Salah saying that nobody's even spoken about us, which is quite laughable. Yeah. Laughable. But, I don't want to jump too much on the bandwagon. You don't know why because I heard an interview during the week where he was saying, he's not thinking about it yet. We'll see at the end of the season. He might just be trying to reiterate that point. It's come out wrong, but it's not a Liverpool the way he's come out and said it, especially not after. It's not what you want to hear after thrashing your rivals. Definitely not. No, it's not. And it kind of somewhat dampened it. And I'm going to shout out Luis Diaz because he was really, really frustrating. And then he scores that goal. And the second goal that he scored, I mean, the way he just puts it, curls it around Onana, I just thought his touch, his technique was just absolutely sublime for that one. Xerxes had a few chances. Yeah, and he had a few chances. I really like that save from Alisson from the header at close range. I think that was the chance for United. He had one of the back posts as well, but it was a hard one. I mean, they didn't really threaten that much, but he definitely looks bright. He seems a really clever player as well. Maybe not the most raw talented, but he seems quite switched on. He does, yeah. And also he kind of tried running in behind Virgil van Dijk as well for, I think, his final chance. And Virgil just did enough to put him off to put his shot wide. But yeah, overall, a really, really impressive performance by Liverpool. Let's move on then, Ben. Where should we go? You know what? Let's go to the 12:30. Arsenal won. Brighton won. Goal scorers Havertz and Pedro. What did you make of this one? Because I feel like the Declan Rice sending off was probably the key talking point of this one. With regards to obviously Brighton coming back into it, Dunk also crucial and pinnacle in both of the goals as well. Yeah. I mean, I knew it wouldn't take long for us to talk about referees, but that Rice one, I don't know whether it's I was told when I first saw it, I thought it was a bit ridiculous. I thought it was a really stupid decision, but it's also really stupid from Rice. You're on a yellow card, and the last thing you want to do is something like that. It's a real waste, and the way it goes down, rolling round, it doesn't make it any easier for himself. I think that's what frustrates me is he's obviously trying to get the other player in bother by rolling around like that.
So that definitely didn't help his case. But I do think it's a strange decision. It's a big call to make over a tiny little nudge. It's not as if he's booted the ball away. You know, it's a big call to make for someone who's just nudged the ball a couple of yards, really. But,
I mean, to be fair, like, the referee is kind of following the rules.
yeah.
And, you know, and you can tell that, you know, the rules are rules. But having said that, I'm a massive hypocrite. Now, if that happened against, you know, everyone knows I'm a Liverpool supporter, but if that happened against a Liverpool player, I would be seething. But because it is the rule, unfortunately. I thought Veltman would have got a lot more, you know, because he's pretending that he kicked the ball, but he actually kicked out at Rice. So, yeah, I think that will be the sticking point and the controversial part as well.
It's one of those, he played it off as if he's meant to play the ball, but Veltman also knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, he absolutely does. He actually does. You know, the dark arts of the game, Ben. Which manager do you think is probably more delighted out of that one? I feel like Arsenal were really much in control before like Rice had that bit of a mindless moment.
Yeah, they were in control, and I don't think anyone really saw Brighton come back. I don't think they barely had any shots or anything, and then as soon as a red card comes in, the game turns on its head. But like we always say, you know, you've got to make the most of those situations, and if there's any teams you don't want to go down to 10 men, Brighton's definitely one of those, because they'll just pick you off with the passes, and, you know, with the likes of João Pedro up front, they're always a threat, so it's a tough one. I think Arsenal, it's not the end of the world that they've got a point, but they definitely wouldn't have wanted to drop points this early. I mean, I think Arteta will be frustrated at that, and the fact that they couldn't respond even with 10 men. But I think Brighton will be over the moon with that result.
Yeah, and I think with Arsenal as well, where, you know, like they kind of like just kind of mess it up towards the end, like that they'll look back at that result. And as us as Liverpool supporters, we had a fair few of them against Man City as well, where, you know, a point dropped here and a point dropped there can be really crucial against this Man City team. Speaking of Man City, 3-1 against West Ham away from home. Hattrick Haaland strikes again. You know, 7 goals so far this season. That man is absolutely ridiculous. To me, this just felt like a very much Man City kind of performance. They were just kind of running the show. And, you know, they even helped West Ham out, an own goal by Ruben Diaz. But Man City just looked something completely different. There was a few moments from, I thought, Kudus, where, you know, Kudus could have maybe put the ball away. But overall, I think Man City were just in cruise control in this one.
Yeah, it's just a typical Man City performance where, you know, you see West Ham get a goal back and you don't really raise an eyebrow at it. It's such a Man City thing to do, and you just know what's going to come next. It's a bit like when Ipswich went ahead last week. I mean, within 10 minutes, I think it was 3-1 within 10 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But Haaland's a joke. You know, I've just been saying there about Salah, everything he touches turns to gold. I mean, Haaland takes that to a whole nother level, unfortunately. I know people will criticise him for his overall game. He doesn't get assists, but it's sensational player. Scary how good he is. And I mean, I'm human because I didn't have him in the FPL team. But I was one of those clever people that I'll leave Haaland out and make up the points elsewhere. But even that made me look a bit stupid at the minute.
11 Hattrick for Man City. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And, you know, those numbers are just going to soar through the roof. But yep, Man City carrying on as they do. Okay, then let's move on to Everton 2. Everton 2. Yeah. 3. Oh, my word. So, you know, Everton, cruise control here. Keane scores. Calvert-Lewin, you see improvements from the previous 2 games they're scoring. They actually look really, really threatening. And then, Areola makes some subs. You know, the likes of Sinisterra come on. And it just completely just changed it. You know, Otara comes on as well, Sinesi, and on the 87th minute, you know, they lose 3-2. Talk to me about this one. I mean, it is such a messy game at the end because Everton were in complete control and then they get completely done over. They look tired, they look knackered. They're like jogging back when it's 2-1. Like, there was just no intensity. For me, it was awful. I feel bad for that man.
Yeah, it's really criminal. But the scary thing is, you know, it's a team managed by Sean Dyche, you know, really, really defensive, supposedly, like hard to break down. The second Bournemouth scored 1. I didn't think they would score 3, but you could see them equalise and you'd see the collapse coming. Maybe I didn't think it would be to that extent, but you've got to be tearing your hair out at that. Honestly, like, you're so close. Bournemouth haven't posed a threat all game really, and you're in cruise control. Maybe the worst thing that Everton can do is be in cruise control, but it's one of those. Like I said, as soon as Semenyo scored, you just saw the tide completely change, and it was almost like the ball was being sucked into the back of the goal. But I'm really worried for Everton. I said at the start of the season that I was worried about Everton, and I got hounded for it. If it wasn't for the points deduction, they would have finished. I think it was like 12th last season. They would have finished. But you just look at like the transfer business have done. Braithwaite's injured and wants to leave.
Yeah,
it's just I'm not inspired by it at all. And I think, well, as I was saying to me, Dyche's on borrowed time at the minute, but probably can't even afford to sack him.
This is it. This is it. I think that off the pitch stuff is such a disaster that they've got no room for manoeuvre in any aspect at the moment.
Yeah, they're not signing Dyche players really either. They're trying to play a style that's a bit more advanced, and they're trying to sign players who are a bit more advanced, and they're just not doing it for what Dyche wants to do, if that makes sense. So the philosophy and the signings to me don't quite add up, and that's a bit worrying.
Yeah, and that's it. Nothing. Yeah, myself and Guy spoke last week whilst you were skiving, and we just we said, every season they just about survive it, and at some point the other shoe is going to drop off. I mean, yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm actually really, really concerned about them, if I'm being a neutral there.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, 10 goals conceded in 3 games as well. It's mental. It is really bad.
It is. It's really bad. Right, let's talk about our next one. Let's do a 3 o'clock. Let's do Brentford 3, Southampton 1. I mean, Ramsdale debut for the Saints. Mbeumo and Wissa scoring for a brace by Mbeumo and Wissa, and Sugawara getting an injury time consolation goal. Again, Southampton winning all the possession. Actually looked a little bit more threatening on goal, but to me, they just look like a bog standard, like championship side. Like they...
Yup, that's who you think it is. The Grimace mug. The Hello Kitty keychain. Barbie herself. For a limited time, your favorite McDonald's collectibles filled with memories and magic are now on collectible cups. Get 1 of 6 when you order a collector's meal at McDonald's with your choice of a Big Mac or 10-piece McNuggets. Come get your cup while you still can. At participating McDonald's for a limited time while supplies last.
I kind of feel like they will go down if they carry on like this, or the manager will get sacked.
Yeah. I definitely think with some Martins up there for the first to be sacked. I don't know when people are going to learn that, yes, you can play a nice style of football in the Championship and get promoted, but signing the same players, like, Flynn Downs in his loan permanent, etc., and then trying to play the same brand of football in the Premier League, it doesn't work. You saw Burnley come up last year trying to do the exact same thing, and they went straight back down. But then you look at the likes of Luton, who, yes, they didn't have a pretty style of football, but they got a hell of a lot closer to staying up than Burnley, for example. So I don't know when teams are going to learn, but you look at them trying to pass out from the back, and you're just thinking, especially against Brentford with the pace and the press of their forwards, and you're just tearing your hair out again. It's a bit like Everton. What's going through their heads to make them think that they just pass through teams like that? Yes, give it a go and try and do that, but you've got to know when to go long and when to really, learn. Just shooting yourselves in the foot. You're going to go down. You can't be wasting games. Games against Brentford. You've got to pick up points against teams like those. So it's just really, really worrying for both of them teams. Both on 0 points, Southampton and Everton.
Yeah.
But really, really bad. I think both of them could be in serious trouble. And I know I'm pointing out the obvious, the 2 bottom teams in the league saying that they're in trouble, but the performances have been that bad.
Yeah, they have been really bad. I think the XG for Southampton last weekend was 0.02 or something, which is absolutely disgraceful. I think they had 1 shot on target. A guy was kind of running some stats with me there. But yeah, they need to fix up sharp. Let's do
great goal in the end from Southampton, to be fair.
Yeah, it was. Lallana assist, right?
Yeah, headed it down, then outside the full body. Don't know where the big keeping that. But...
Let's move on. Leicester 1, Aston Villa 2. Onana, Duran for Aston Villa and Buonanotte for Leicester. Tielemans, playing against his former team. This one went pretty much how I expected it to. Aston Villa, they lost last weekend to Arsenal. This was the kind of game of response I kind of expected from them. Onana was absolutely incredible, in my opinion. Yeah,
he's a serious player, brilliant signing. And I think he's going to thrive more than what he did at Everton, because at Everton he was doing all the dog work. He doesn't have to do as much of Villa. He can show his on-the-ball skills. He's already scored, I think that's his second goal already.
Yeah.
So he's really starting to show what he can do on the ball as well, which is brilliant to see. I really rated him at Everton, to be fair. So he'll only do better when Emery at Villa, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think he really does fit into that Aston Villa team really, really well. Right. I don't think there's not a lot to fear about that one. It was like a kind of bog standard, what you can Championship side, newly promoted side coming up to the Premier League, and, Aston Villa kind of showing their experience and just getting through. This one really fascinated me. Ipswich 1, Fulham 1. Delap getting the opener for Ipswich, and Traore getting the equaliser. I thought this was an even game. It was really fair. I thought Delap had a really, really good game. He was pretty much everywhere. And from the 3 teams that are promoted, I see moments of hope, dare I say, for Ipswich. I feel like they'll grow and get better.
Yeah, I think McKenna is definitely a really good manager. I know some people will doubt whether he can apply the same sort of trade in the Premier League. I'm not expecting him to pull up trees, but you can see a clear plan with them, whereas with Southampton, for example, can't. Well, you can see the plan, it just doesn't work. But, Fulham, what is going into this game? I was kind of a bit underwhelmed from what I'd seen from Fulham, to be honest. I know Smith Rowe's kind of pulling them out, but I do think they're missing Palhinha really, really badly. I don't rate Sasa Lukic at all. But look, and Adama Traore, I was watching the opening game against Man United and had Iwobi and him on the wings, and they were getting in positions and coming back and wasting it. But I think Fulham will obviously be all right. But there's some I saw some Fulham fans saying that you think they could get Europe this season.
I'm not so sure, If Rooney isn't scoring, I mean, I know obviously Smith Rowe scored last weekend. We've seen Traore score this weekend. But if there was a team that was going to win this weekend between them two, Ipswich had the better chances. I mean, the header, he could have made it 2-0. That was a glorious chance. And even in deep in injury time, they looked like the team that was most threatening, which is positive for Ipswich.
Yeah. Yeah, Smodics was coming. He looks exactly the same as what he did in the Championship. He looks really good. Hutchinson's proven to be their main player, isn't he? And he was worth the money, so... It is definitely not exciting. You can see the kind of building into the season, which is what you want to do. They're not going hell for leather at the beginning and trying to win every game necessarily like both teams away. They're just making their way through and picking up results, and it'll come. And I actually think Ipswich might still. I think the other two promoted teams will go down with Everton. I think Ipswich could still, definitely.
I like that. A nice bold prediction on Gameweek 3. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I kind of said at the beginning I was torn on the fence between Everton and Ipswich, but from what I've seen from Everton and what I've seen from Ipswich, I don't see any reason why not. Obviously, I know things can change, but yeah, looking at the stats from the game as well, literally every stat is 11 to 9 shots, 4 on target. Yeah, it was a really entertaining game, so.
Yeah, go Ipswich, right. And let's move on to the next 3 o'clock kickoff. Nottingham Forest 1, Wolves 1. I think the thing that struck me about this one was Johnson coming in for Sarr, who obviously conceded 6 against Chelsea. That was quite notable. Chris Wood opening the scoring for Nottingham there on 10 minutes, a free header for him, and then Bellegarde with a beauty. Absolutely stunning goal, actually. What did you make of this one? For me, I thought if a team was going to take it, it'd probably be Nottingham Forest. They look far more threatening.
Yeah, unbeaten Nottingham Forest still. So 1-1 drew 2. They're looking pretty solid at the back, kept holding Murillo, which was huge.
Yes.
But yeah, they look quite impressive. Wolves obviously just basically didn't want to concede as many this week, obviously. Yeah. I think they'll be pretty happy with the 1-1 draw, just kind of get back on track a bit. But the interesting thing with Johnston being in goal was there was an article on the site earlier actually about it looks like he might be going to Saudi because obviously the Saudi window's open till I think it's tomorrow. It looks like he might be on his way out, so conceded 6 and then he's on the way out by the looks of it, so pretty ruthless, but obviously he probably wants to go, so that's an interesting one, definitely.
It really is an interesting one, and it seems to be like the last stop for a lot of these players, the Saudi League, with it being open. But yeah, I think you're right there with Wolves. I think it was pretty much like, let's just not concede as many, and a point is a thank you very much. We'll take that away from home. Right, we'll move on to our Sunday games, and we'll move on to the one that was live on TV. Newcastle 2, Tottenham 1. Barnes and Isak scoring for the home side, and an own goal from Burns, who put Spurs in it. The linesman gets injured. For me, Spurs were the better team. Spurs had all the possession. I thought they were lacking some cutting edge up top. They bring on Johnson, who I thought was absolutely incredible when he came on, by the way. He was causing absolute nightmares for them. Just putting those crosses in. I think it was a nightmare for the back line of Newcastle. Worth noting that, it's not the starting back four. But overall, I think Spurs are kicking themselves at this one.
Yeah, I know I've said the phrase a few times already, but they'll be tearing their hair out, definitely, because you look. I'm just looking at the stats here, and this one's just baffled me. Total touches in the box, so the opposition box. Tottenham had 49 touches in Newcastle's box. Newcastle had 14 in theirs. And it still only took an own goal for Tottenham to score.
Yeah.
So that's just, I know they haven't got an out-and-out striker playing at the minute with Solanke injured, but, you still expect someone like Son or Kulusevski or Maddison to step up and put the ball in the back of the net, but it just wasn't coming at all. Newcastle, again, are another team I thought had been underwhelming, but then you look at the results and they're kind of getting away through games, and that's all you've got to do at the start of the season. Isaac's finally scored, so that's a huge boost. Obviously, he hadn't scored before today. Gordon doesn't look brilliant at the minute, but I'm sure he'll build up into form. So things are definitely looking up for Newcastle. Tottenham. I was actually talking to my brother before I came on here, and he was saying about Ange Postecoglou, whether he'd be under pressure. What do you think? Do you think Ange? I said he'd more likely to walk than be sacked, but what do you think?
I don't think he's under pressure. I think they're going to give him time. I think he's got a really good squad there. I just feel like, obviously, the injury to Solanke and Richarlison was out as well, so he's actually got a really good squad. I think I'm all for managers having time, and this guy is good. I mean, where will Spurs go from here? And also, I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think you're right. I think if anything's going to happen, he will walk. I don't think he's a manager that you sack. Yeah. I know they had a disappointing opener against Leicester City where they drew, but it's still early season. Players have been brought in. Also, some players' heads have turned as well during the transfer window. You spoke about Gordon there. I think his head was, am I here or am I going? Now that the window's closed, I think players can put their head down. Trippier, I think likely that he'll be off. He's not featured. I think he has been linked to a move to Turkey. And I think, now is where they put their heads down and the football kicks on. We are in game week 3. I thought Son had a really quiet game, which actually shocked me considering Spurs were really dominant and attacking. But yeah, and you spoke about Isak there, 5 goals against Spurs, so he clearly likes to play against them. Spurs also don't have the best of stats against Newcastle. I don't think they really like travelling to St James's Park. But yeah, I think, they'll be kicking themselves because that goal by Isak really did come against the run of play. The ball was completely in Newcastle's half. And then Jordan to break away like that and to pass it to Murphy, who then finds Isak. I mean, I was shocked at that. It just literally came out of nowhere.
Even the Barnes one was off the bat of 10 minutes of, I think Sarr had about 3 shots from outside the box. And even that one came against someone to play, really. But one thing I would say about Tottenham is, I don't know whether it's just me looking from the outside in and putting 2 and 2 together and getting 7. But ever since that Arsenal Man City title thing, you know, when they played Man City and the fans were cheering for Man City against Tottenham, remember?
Yes.
It just doesn't... Postecoglou just seems miserable now. It doesn't seem the way it was before. I don't know whether that's just me. I might be wrong and I might be... But
No, I don't think you're wrong.
The momentum seems a bit gone from what it was. It was really exciting before, but...
No, I don't think you're wrong. I think they started off last season on a high, and there's like even some talk about Spurs might actually win the league. I mean, it was from like Spurs fans and stuff, and it was a bit premature, shall we say. But yeah, I thought they started off really well, and I think they've just kind of hit, a bit of a reality check. I mean, do you think top four is likely for them? Because I think there's a lot of teams in the consideration for top four. You're looking at Newcastle, who are winning. Like you said, I've been unconvinced by how they've been playing. Having said that, them being out of Europe plays massively into their hands, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know with Tottenham. On the face look, like when you first asked the question, I think no way. But then I'm looking, and like you say, Newcastle have no... So Newcastle will be up there, but I look at Villa. I think Villa. I don't see Villa getting top four with all the Champions League games. I think you see United playing the way they are, and you see Chelsea dropping points, which we'll get on to in a bit. But they could definitely sneak in. Definitely.
Yes.
Why not?
And I think this is definitely a trend. I think teams that are established in top four, like the teams that always made it, they have a know-how of how to deal with if they've got a squad obviously big enough with the Champions League. And I know the format's completely different now, but let's talk about the old school Champions League. And this time around, it's even more intense. And the new teams, like we saw what happened to Newcastle last season. They've completely fallen apart in the Champions League, and it kind of, I think, derailed their season somewhat as well. So yeah, I can't. I mean, let's see what happens. I don't think United are making top four if they carry on the way they are. I think it's wide open. Yeah, you kind of touched on the next team. So Chelsea won, Crystal Palace won, Jackson finally finding his scoring form. Armour's just sensational. And Eze, with a wonder strike on 53rd minute. Mateta was back, which is big news for Palace. What did you make of this one? Because Chelsea, from the stats, because this game wasn't live, you couldn't see it. But I was just looking at some of the stats, and Chelsea just completely dominated again.
Yeah, by the looks of it, was the odd few counter-attacks from Crystal Palace, but it looked like Chelsea were kind of in control of most of the game. I think they'll be frustrated by this one, but this is what Crystal Palace are brilliant at this, especially in the Glasgow, they're just frustrating teams, and then they have the quality of Eze and Mateta, etc. going forward, and it will bite you on the bottom. So yeah, I think Chelsea will be frustrated, and you see Palmer getting booted at the end. I'm pretty sure that was for kicking the ball off the advertising boards, which you don't really want to be doing when you're chasing a goal. But yeah, really frustrating for Chelsea, especially after they smashed Wolves last weekend, and you think, wow, like they're really onto something here. Madueke scoring a hat-trick, etc. And then they go to Switzerland during the week, get beat, and then draw today, and it's just all the momentum just shoved straight back out of them.
Yeah, and I think Cole Palmer is, again, I think he's going to be their player of the season again for them.
Yeah, they'd be lost without him. They really would be.
But they clearly needed some more wide players. Sancho's there now as well. And I mean, how many players do they need?
Yeah, I know it's mental. We're talking about what they need, and I mean, I don't know. I know the number was at 43 first team players at one point. Obviously, I think it's down a little bit now, but I mean, you're looking to
42 probably. Like they get rid of one and then replace them. Like Sterling going off to Arsenal and then getting Sancho. I was like, have we not learned anything here?
Yeah, Chilwell didn't leave in the end, did he?
No, he didn't.
Could be one for the Saudi, or he's just going to sit around till January maybe. That'll be interesting.
Let's watch this space. Yeah, the Saudi League's wide open. I'm sure Casemiro, I'm sure Ten Hag's looking at that as well. We've discussed all the games now. Is there any takeaways, anything you kind of want to talk about? Get off your chest. It's international break, so we're not going to be tough. I literally sign you and we have to release you to international break. It's ridiculous.
I know, I was devastated when I realised it was international break next week.
Yeah.
Really, do you know, the start of seeing you're just building in, and then this international break happens every single time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I I don't know. The one team...
I've got one for you. Liverpool's new signing here. So why does he look like he's constantly petrified?
He's either petrified or like he never stops smiling either of them. He's either petrified or he's going to be a hit with the fans, I'm sure. I've heard all the chants from him already, and
he's
such a likeable guy. Yeah. I can't wait to see him. I'm at the first Liverpool game after the international break against Forest, so I'm hoping to see him there.
Nice.
So that's something to look forward to over the international break, definitely.
Yeah, and then obviously the Champions League kicks off, and we're playing AC Milan. But yeah, I think he looks permanently petrified. Another highlight for me was Calafiori coming on for Arsenal, and my highlight reel of him was just constantly shoulder barging into Welbeck and giving him the stare. That's all I remember of his little cameo in that game. But yeah, those are my kind of takeaways. I mean, one thing I will say, maybe because Liverpool are on the receiving end of it, I've not been that triggered by referees. Don't get me wrong, I think the one that was refereeing at Old Trafford, him being a mank as well, a bit problematic. But I like the fact that I don't want them to take centre stage. I don't want to take them.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem with the Rice sending off. I think some people look at it and, it's another referee trying to make himself the main character again. Because, it's one of those where, like, if he doesn't send them off, no one's going to batter an eyelid at the fact that he hasn't sent them off, really. And it is kind of one of those decisions where some people will look at it and think, he's just trying to be in the headlines again. But, my dad always says this thing to us with Sticks was, we shouldn't even know the referee's name. Like back in his day, nobody knew the referee's name. Now they're like celebrities. Everyone knows their names and you know what you're going to get from them. Back like years ago, nobody knew who they were. They were all just seen as the same person, pretty much.
You know what they say, Ben? The game's gone.
Yeah, the game is gone. You've got Mike Dean as a celebrity now because he's from being a referee.
Oh, God. Yeah, get me off this planet right now. Well, Ben, I think we've pretty much discussed everything. I want to give you a big shout out for being on the podcast. Really enjoyed our chat. Before I let you go, is there anything you'd like to plug? Anything you're working on? I know you do articles and whatnot. And where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so Ben Pescod Journal on Twitter. All my stuff goes out on there. And then, obviously all the articles on EPL Index and Anfield Index. So, that's what I'm mainly working on at the minute. So,
yeah, he's doing a lot of writing, people. So give him a follow on Twitter and do check out his work and interact with Ben. For my part, I just do this. I'll be back with Euro Incision on Anfield Index, which is a different, the sister site to EPL. But guys, thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the international break. It's great to be going into it after a win. I'll take that all day, every day. But thanks so much for listening, guys, and take care. I will catch you soon.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Save big money at Menards. We're your destination for concrete landscaping blocks. We have the largest in-stock selection ready to take home today. Get free estimates fast using our easy do-it-yourself landscape design program in-store or on Menards.com. Save big on landscape products at Menards, America's #1 home improvement retailer for customer satisfaction, according to J.D. Power. Visit JDPower.com for details and Menards.com for deals.
Save